Welcome to the Book Nook with your founder, Linda Miller, Avid Readers Unite Book Club. I hope everything has been going well for you during this coronavirus pandemic, but I hope that you have been keeping yourself busy reading books after books. Now, this month we had Be Careful What You Pray For by Kimberla Lawson Roby. She's one of my favorite authors. She's up there because she always gives you nice drama. Something that it's always a page turner. You always want to know what's going on next. So I hope that you read it, and I hope that you are familiar with the Black family. We know the father, Curtis Black. He is the infamous cheater in the family. But Alicia, the daughter, this book particularly focused on, was a past cheater. You know, she lost her husband because of her cheating ways, and she married who she thought was the love of her life, but she kind of married for money. You know, she was used to a lifestyle, if you will, and so she married Pastor Valentine, who at the first page we find out just can't keep his body to himself. He is just so eager and easy just to please and to be pleased. So that's what this whole story is about, how he is leaving his church and also trying to keep a second lifestyle going of all these variety of different women. And what's happening is he's not picking the right women because as we read throughout the story, they're finding ways to put demands on him, and he can't keep up with the demands. Then he finds that the people in the church, the deacons, the ministers in the church, they're starting to put demands on him, and it's just not working out. And it all just snowballs. And finally, Alicia's, the gentleman who she cheated with, Levi, in one of the previous stories, he is still in love with her. He's in jail for his past transgressions that he was a part of, selling drugs and just being a part of that world, and that wound him up in jail. But he still was in love with Alicia. And even though he was in jail and he knew she was married, he wanted her to be happy. He would rather her be happy with him, of course. But that didn't happen, and he had one of his people who worked with him and friends with him in that world who could find out information on people, and found out all this information about her husband, Pastor Valentine, as well as one of the women, you know, shared information with her anonymously. And then one of the kickers was an old friend of hers was also sleeping with him, but way before they had gotten married. But then she found out who, you know, the woman was, but she still became friendly with her, and it was just a whole big mess. It was just a big mess of stuff. And so finally, Alicia found out all the information, had her detectives, and she, one Sunday morning, you know, sometime when they say, watch who's testifying because you may tell all their business. Well, guess what? She told the church all of the business, named names and everything. So it was a big fallout. She wound up divorcing him, becoming happy, and actually going back to her ex-husband. They rekindled their relationship because he was still in love with her. It was just that Alicia cheated on him. And they had wound up seeing each other along the way, you know, at a hospital when he was going to visit some parishioners, you know, who was in a hospital, and they reconnected during that time. And so she realized she was still in love with him, and she was going for love and not so much the money and the fame, that kind of thing, you know, because she's used to that kind of lifestyle because her father was a famous preacher. So you're used to certain lifestyle to live. So she wound up actually now getting what she wanted. So that's what the book is really. Be careful what you pray for, because you just might not get it. Because Pastor Valentine had what she wanted. He had the material things that she was looking for. And that's how she cheated on her last husband, going for the fast life of what that gentleman, Levi, was giving her. But then what she wound up getting was a heartache and a headache and embarrassment. Now, her father told her about, you know, he wasn't trusting of Pastor Valentine. But guess what? I guess a player knows a player. because her father cheated on every wife he had so far. I don't know about this one, but he had cheated on all the other wives, her mother included. So he knew that something was wrong, and he had also heard the word on the street about Pastor Valentine, but his daughter just pursued it and went for it anyway. And she wound up thanking her father, and they rekindled their relationship because their relationship was broken. So this book was really good. It's about different relationships, man and wife relationships, father daughter relationships, friendships. Different things are going on, and when you see something and you see a sign and it's a red flag, believe it and check into it, and don't just be so eager to get the bells and whistles. Make sure that when you're connecting with someone, that it's who, get to know them first. Get to know them, and sometimes you'll never know at all, but the basics, let's get to know that. And something like you said in the book, it says be careful what you pray for, because you just might get it. She prayed for material things, she got it, but she didn't get the man. She didn't get the whole man, because while he was giving himself to her and lying about everything, he was also giving himself to other people. So they were never really truly connected. And in the end, he wound up with a baby from one of the women, and basically losing the majority of his church. He was still preaching, but the majority of his church left, and he didn't have his wife, who he claimed he loved. And all the other women who were giving him money, and just, people didn't believe in him anymore. And when you're standing behind a pulpit, you want the people to believe in you, that you are connected to God. And that's what you want. He lost. The people lost faith in him. And they didn't really touch too deep on, that end of it, but just letting us know that whether it's a story or whether real life, really that can happen to anyone. So we really had to be clear about how we're moving, what we believe in, who we're following, and don't blind follow anybody. Learn and know for yourself. Okay? So this was a good book. I love Mrs. Roby and her drama-filled books that she always gives us, and she always gives us a slam dunk when it comes to the Black family. So if you hadn't read it, I hope that you find time to read. All right, so until next month, happy reading.